So what's up guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Chris. This is my channel called Mumble. I was going to record this video outside, but as you can tell, it is pretty hot. I'm going to go ahead and record this in my car. It's a video talking about what got me into cars, how did I come about this hobby or sport.
They want the best of me now. They want the best of me now.
As a kid, I was never into anything big. My biggest obsession and biggest hobby was drawing. So as a kid, I was very good at drawing and sketching stuff. It was one of my biggest pastimes, and a lot of people always said that I was a very artistic person, and I believe that in so many ways because I can take two things and make something completely different. So I do see that aspect as why people saw me that way. And as a kid, I was never into sports. I grew up hating soccer because I try to be above that stereotype where it's like, oh, soccer's just for Mexicans and this and that, and I kind of don't like going with the normal crowd. So what happened is I was never into sports. Basketball was kind of more of my calling, but I was still more into drawing pictures, sketching stuff, doing things like that. Just draw about anything, you know, but cars was never something I wanted to draw or that caught my attention at all. As a kid, I grew up with a single parent home until my stepdad came into our lives. I think the first car my mom ever had was a 1991 Honda Civic sedan, which is one of the reasons why I love those cars to death, because it's one of those cars that brings back so many memories. I've won one myself, and I hate myself for ever selling that car. It was such a clean car. It turned so many heads when we went to car meets. A lot of people admired that car. There was people that, you know, were straight up American muscle car enthusiasts and will come up to my car and be like, man, that's a super clean car, you know, because it wasn't overdone or anything. It was just dropped on wheels, had GSR swapped. It was a very simple build, and I love that build, but it was just time to go K-Series, so I had to like sell that car off in order to afford my K-Series. So back on topic. So yeah, my mom owned a 1991 Honda Civic sedan. Had that car for a while until she got into a car accident. So the next car after that was we were carless for a while after that. Basically, my stepdad came into our lives. We were driving his car around, which was a 1991 Firebird. And that was our car for the longest time. Let's fast forward a couple years next. My mom actually ended up buying a Mitsubishi, I think it's called an Expo. It's a weird looking car, man. Like, I've seen people with turbo swap them and put a 4G63 in there. It's not the prettiest car at all. Here's a picture of it, or of what the car looks like. That's not the exact one, just to give you an idea. It's kind of like a cross between a car and a minivan, which is kind of weird for that age. But hey, that's what we had, and that's what we had to appreciate, right? So I was probably like around 11 or 12 around that time. So let's go ahead and fast forward to when Fast Furious came out. It came out in 2001. As far as I'm aware, I think I was in 6th grade. I never saw the movie once it came out because we didn't really have that much money to go out to a movie and see a movie. The first time I ever went to a movie theater, I was like 19. So that says a lot about the way that I grew up and the way that, you know, my lifestyle was. There were so many things that we couldn't have as kids. The Fast and Furious came out. Never saw the movie until it was about like test time. They would give us some downtime. So like if we finished fast, they would let us watch a movie. This kid brought the movie over and he popped it in there. The teacher let him do it. So as we started to watch this movie, I was like, wow, I was like, this is interesting. Racing on the street, this is pretty cool. What happened was, as soon as I watched that movie, I was hooked on it. I was like, man, I was like, this is what I want. This is what I want to do. So that started my obsession with wanting to like draw cars, and I started drawing more car pictures. I started to use the computer to look up more cars and develop a bigger knowledge of cars because I literally didn't know anything about the cars. I didn't know no makes or models or anything like that. I was a young kid. As I started researching more things, I would start Googling certain cars like Hondas, Acuras, Mitsubishis, Mazdas, just trying to see what's out there. As I started researching more stuff, I'll put like custom this, custom that. Then I figured out that there was this word called mod or modding, which meant you fix up your car. I started getting more deep into it, and I started to see how much people were customizing their cars. And it's amazing to me because it's like, wow, I could build one of these things and make it my own style. Being 12, I didn't have much. All I had was paper, pen, and pencils. That was it. So I would start designing my own designs of it. I wish I had some right now to show you guys, but I don't. I don't even know what happened to all that stuff. We moved a couple times, so it might have just gotten thrown away. I went to Target one day and saw a magazine called Super Street. As I started to glance through it, I was like, wow, pretty cool magazine, because I never experienced anything like that. All the magazines that I saw were like US Weekly, Cosmopolitan, some of those Spanish magazines, because I come from a Spanish home. So that was all I ever saw. I never saw magazines that were directed to cars. So I bought my first magazine ever, and to this day I have a lot of those old issues in my house somewhere. I've thought about getting rid of them, but at the same time it's a lot of memories, but it's also luggage you have to carry around everywhere, which is kind of annoying sometimes. But it's one of those things that's hard to get rid of because it's a part of your childhood. It's something that made you, that taught you certain things. I learned a lot through these magazines. One of my favorite magazines that taught me so much, and I've never even seen this magazine anymore, is called Project Car. I had literally every issue of the first edition that they ever brought out. I have no idea what happened to them though. Pretty cool magazine, man. I miss those magazines because these guys would take a car and start building it step by step by step and telling you how much it costs, how much power they gain, what is the advantage of this versus that. It was such a cool magazine. That started my whole car obsession too, because as a kid I had an obsession with Legos, but Legos are expensive. One little box of Legos is like $10. I started seeing cars as Legos. You know, you put a little piece by piece by piece and you build your own thing. You build whatever you want. That's one of the things why I got obsessed with cars right away. It basically just goes back to the Fast and the Furious. That was the main thing that got me into cars. The next thing that got me into it was probably just starting to draw my cars. But there was one thing that I did miss was around the time that the Fast and the Furious came out, there was all these crazy t-shirts with like tuner cars on them with like crazy wheel designs, and I started drawing stuff like that too, giving them to people at school, and I started to get known at school as the guy that draws cars or cool cars. It was a cool thing that I started to make friends from my drawings. Also, as soon as I started getting more magazines, I would share my magazines with my friends or people at school that wanted to look at them. That's how I started so many relationships with other people, and I just started to develop a whole bunch of new friends because of this. I don't know if I would just been that kid that just draws and just kept drawing like random things. I don't know where my life would have been, but I'm happy I found cars, and I'm happy this is a hobby that I'm enjoying, and I'm still enjoying. Alright guys, so this was my story how I got into cars. It might be kind of corny, might be kind of cheesy. I don't know what to call it. At the end of the day, I feel like it's very generic, kind of goes off with everybody else's Fast and the Furious story. But let's be honest, that movie influenced so many of us to do this. Now I know some of you guys have YouTube channels, and if you do, go ahead and make a video like this talking about what got you into cars. If you want, go ahead and drop the link down below of your video once you get it done, so a lot of the people on my channel can go ahead and check out your content as well and see how they can relate to you. I will be having a small kind of mini series talking about the cars that I've owned in the past and my experiences with them. I think it's a pretty cool concept because I have owned quite a bit of cars in the past. I didn't start off this journey as being an Infiniti or Honda guy. I was actually a completely different kind of enthusiast. So if you decide to make this video of how I got into cars, go ahead and comment it down below. I would love to check out your content as well. So with that being said, guys, I hope you do subscribe, comment down below, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.
I'ma blow up.